What's going on, guys? It's your boy Matei, and today I want to talk about a topic that's definitely been circulating the news recently in the music industry, which is Spotify enabling a new feature to allow labels and independent artists to promote their tracks through a new feature called the Discovery Mode. But instead of having to pay for that promotion, they're going to agree to take less in their royalties on that track. So this is very interesting that Spotify is doing this, and let me explain to you sort of how it works, at least from the articles that I've read so far. The Discovery Mode feature is most likely is not launched yet, just so you know, but when it's launched, it's going to be available through the Spotify for Artists app. You'll be able to choose a track that you want to give priority to when it comes to the Spotify algorithm taking that music and making it available through the autoplay playlist and the radio playlist, right? So basically, if Spotify, let me tell you how that works first for the independent artists, because labels obviously slightly different, but independent artists, if you're actually advertising correctly and not using bullshit third-party Spotify playlists, and you're getting real people to engage with your tracks, eventually Spotify's algorithm will put you in a radio station with other artists that match your sort of genre, but based on your listeners' preferences. And that radio station then gets like kind of played to your listeners that can listen to it, and if they enjoy, they'll continue to listen to that particular radio station. It's kind of like Pandora, radio station based on your song, or a radio station based on a new Nas song, but yours may end up in there because it's similar, right? The second one is the autoplay, meaning if you go into the Spotify app and search for the new Taylor Swift song, right? You search it by title, and that's the one song that you want to listen to, you listen to it, but then you still keep Spotify on, your headphones are still plugged in or whatever. Spotify is automatically going to recommend another song that matches the genre and the listener preferences of that Taylor Swift song you just listened to. So those two playlists, the autoplay and the radio playlists, are going to be the ones that are going to be pushing these songs that you put as a preference at Spotify artists to be sort of pushed by a Spotify algorithm. Now they're saying that, if it doesn't perform well and real users are actually not engaging with it, they'll take it off of that feature, so that way you're not getting charged extra royalties. But here's the real reason I believe that Spotify is doing this, because most of you probably don't know, but the labels get a different royalty rate from Spotify than independent artists do. Independent artists, if you're going through like DistroKid, TuneCore, CD Baby, Stem, and all these other different, common distributors, in the US, you're probably getting 0.0035 cents, maybe 0.004 cents, so a third of a penny per stream. So if you choose to use this feature, maybe you're going to get 0.001, a tenth of a penny in this case, right, for them to push your music. However, labels, major labels, Universal, Warner Brothers, the top three, Sony, and so on, they get a different royalty rate. They may get double that. They may get triple that. They may get almost a penny per stream from Spotify, because every half a year or every quarter, every year, I don't know the details. Nobody really, Spotify doesn't release these details, but major labels get to renegotiate the licensing, essentially the royalty splits with Spotify, and they keep kind of, squeezing Spotify, and they keep strangling them for more and more, right? Because why is Spotify in existence? Not to shit on independent artists, but Spotify is in existence because the fans, when they'll hear the new Drake song, the new Beyonce song, the Taylor Swift song, they're most likely they're not for you as an independent artist, unless you're also dumping ton of money and efforts into marketing, right? So if they can't play major label artist songs, then Spotify doesn't have paid users. So the major labels know this. They squeeze Spotify's neck every quarter in order to get higher royalties. Sort of, it's not distortion, but it's like they basically say, hey, do you want to continue to play all the major artists on Universal Records? Well, then you better give us a better royalty rate. Warner Brothers does the same thing. Sony does the same thing. So Spotify providing this feature and basically not allowing anybody to pay for it, but taking more money in royalties for themselves that they don't have to pay out to major labels, or they don't have to pay out for to independent artists, means they get a bigger profit margin. Because believe it or not, even though Spotify is evaluated as a multi-billion-dollar company, and they're now a public company, which enables people to buy stock in it, they're barely profitable every quarter. The reason they're barely profitable, because 95% or 90% of all the streams still gets paid out to the major label, because the major artists are, taking up all the 90% of the streams. So if they only get paid 10% of the profitable splits with the independent artists, that means that the 90% of the other revenue they're making, because or thanks to the major label artists, they may not be getting any profit margin. So for Spotify to offer this, it's sort of trying to help them figure out, can we make a bigger profit margin so we're actually profitable every quarter? There's a lot of things that are still unknown. They haven't figured out the formula of how much money they're going to take from your royalties, right? So that's a big thing they got to figure out for sure. Let me just read you some of the things that this formula will depend on. It depends on the tempo of the song, the time of the day the listener listens to it, the songs you had on repeat, listening habits of the people who are listening to it, the discovery algorithm, how you've interacted with a song in the past, languages you listen to, genres that you listen to, the song length, similarity to other artists that you listen to, the musical elements, artist input. If you independent artists are familiar with submitting your track for a major Spotify playlist consideration through Spotify for Artists account, there's all these elements that Spotify asks you to define, like what are the instruments played in the song, what are the genre types and all of that. So all that's being considered, so it's a complicated as algorithm and we don't know yet how it's going to be used. So having said that, there's still some stuff we don't know. The labels don't really know. That the independent artists will definitely be the last ones to know. I'm going to try to keep you guys updated on this. But, Spotify, even though they're a public company, the algorithm that they use is intellectual property, right? It's under NDA, it could be a patent on it and all of that. So even though they have to disclose their financials every quarter, they do not have to at all disclose how the algorithm works, right? And I just named you literally, I don't know if any software developers follow me, but I just named you like 15 different parameters that will feed this algorithm behavior. And I mean, that can, that creates hundreds and hundreds of different kind of possibilities for the algorithm to behave a certain way. But anyways, I think it's gonna be very interesting, right? No platform has really done this yet. On SoundCloud, you can pay to have your song promoted on SoundCloud, even though SoundCloud pays you royalties now like Spotify. SoundCloud basically became like a distributor. They can put your song on every platform. They also pay out, but you can also promote on SoundCloud. However, on Spotify, you could also promote. I don't know if you guys ever messed around with the Spotify ad studio. You can make commercials about your music on Spotify ads if you know how to do it correctly. But this is interesting because you'll be able to choose the song that you want Spotify to consider as a priority to be pushed through their organic algorithm. So we'll see how this ends up. That's all the information I have. But again, just to reiterate the main things, they haven't figured out the formula for how much they're going to take away from your royalties if you choose to use this feature, and this feature is not out yet. It's coming out. So as soon as I have more information, I'm going to make another video about it, and I'll see you guys in that video. Peace.